Hey everybody, welcome to BrickVault. Today we are reviewing every single LEGO Jedi minifigure ever made. This is the official update for our first video that we launched back in 2016. When we first made that video, the figs totaled to 127. Now there are 184, if I'm counting correctly. And for this segment, we're going to be going through all of these figs chronologically, from what years they were released, what sets they came out in, and how much they are currently worth on the LEGO market. The interesting thing for me when researching these guys again was to see how much some of these figs have increased in collectability over just the last 4 years from the last time we made this video. And the selling price for a few of these characters will definitely surprise you. Full disclosure, I included good guy, force sensitive characters as well, because I didn't know what other collection to put them in, so hopefully I didn't forget anyone, but I can tell you I certainly did my best. Also, all the Lukes, Obi-Wans, and Anakins make up over 70% of the total figs in this collection, so they will have their own dedicated videos, and I'm not going to go into as much deep dive details about these 3 Jedi as I will for the rest. Lastly, if you want to help support the channel, the best way to do that would be to visit www.brickvault.toys, where we work with some of the most amazing LEGO builders from all over the world. We sell PDF instructions for advanced models that have been physically tested and look incredible. So if you ever wanted to take a crack at building some truly next level creations, feel free to click below and check us out. Doing fig collections and building these models is what keeps me coming back to LEGO every single day. Also hit that like button. Let's travel back in time now to a different century where we find our first fig, Qui-Gon Jinn. His first set was the lightsaber duel. He appeared in 4 others, which makes him decently common, so that print for his chest and face was seen quite a bit on this character, and of course the hair mold was exclusively made just for this guy. I love that when we travel this far back, you see those chrome hilts and the bubbly lightsaber blades in the neon green. And then the next fig here is our first Yoda from 2002. He appeared in 3 sets. This is the first time we got short legs for a minifigure, which is pretty awesome. And this is also very close to being the first non-minifigure head mold for a head of a minifigure. And you can tell it looks a little bit, well, not as detailed as they look nowadays. From the same year, here is Jedi Bob. I called him Jedi Jim in the original video because I just think it sounds better. He originally was given no name in the original set that he came out in, but posthumously given the name Jedi Bob in the 2009 Visual Dictionary. And I think that's just because the LEGO community lovingly called him that, so it eventually became official. His face and torso are exclusive. I still think it sounds better as Jedi Jim, so that's what I'm going to keep calling him. And his collectability has over doubled since the last time we did this video 4 years ago. 2005 gives us 2 very special minifigures, Luminaria Unduli and Mace Windu. They are both exclusive to just 1 set, and they are 2 of 5 total minifigures that have light up sabers. Their heads and legs don't come off. You can replace a battery that's in the back of them, and when you press down, the lightsabers actually turn on. In the last 4 years, Luminaria's collectability has gone up a little bit, while Mace Windu's has gone up a lot of it, and he is in fact one of the single most collectible figs in this entire video. Now moving up just 1 year, this is interesting. In the same set, they just decided to start releasing Mace Windu, but not the light up version of him, so this is the actual minifig version where the head and torso and everything comes apart. The print for his face and torso are the same as the light up version, and he's still actually a pretty collectible fig. 2007 gives us 2 new guys. This is a Qui-Gon Jinn that isn't yellow-skinned. The torso print has been updated and somewhat simplified, and it's the last time you're seeing that chrome lightsaber hilt piece in this video. Now we're moving on to Kit Fisto, who appeared in 3 different sets, and his head is made with a soft rubber that actually isn't produced, at least for minifigure heads, the same way. This material isn't made from LEGO anymore. My guess is that it's just a little bit too soft and easy to corrode over time. It looks great though for this tentacle head. His torso is exclusive, and he is decently collectible, and surprisingly more collectible than the first Ahsoka Tano, but that's only because she came out in so many different sets. Now that time has passed, I can kind of appreciate the fact that her printing isn't so good this first time around. The lack of back printing or negative space for the hips makes it feel a bit amateurish, but it's sort of nice seeing now how the quality has certainly improved over time. Also from this year, 2008, Plo Koon gets his first version of a fig. He's got a really good head mold. There is that weird dimple in the back of his head, which I still can't tell if it's part of his his alien head or just the mold process. I never actually figured that out from the last time I did this video. He appeared in 2 sets, and of course the print for his torso is exclusive to this character. Now there's another 2 figs coming in 2009. You did see the Clone Wars printing for Ahsoka's face, but now you get to see it as a mold for Yoda's head. This guy appeared in 3 sets, and frankly, I actually like the way Yoda's Clone Wars head mold looks. It's just got a bit of extra pizzazz, and in general, I think alien heads work pretty well for this Clone Wars art style. His torso is updated, and now you get to see a not so good looking version of a Clone Wars character. This is Mace Windu, and that face print definitely is just a little bit off-putting. Not the worst face print from this era, but definitely not even close to the best. He appeared in a bunch of sets, but he's certainly the least desirable Mace Windu out there. And then moving on to 2010, there's some interesting characters along the way. This is Nadar Veb, our first and only Mon Calamari Jedi. And interestingly enough, he only appeared in 1 single set, but he's actually very accessible still today. The head is the same as other Akbar minifigures, his torso print is exclusive, and now we're looking at our first version of Barriss Offee. Also not a bad looking fig. Torso and face are exclusive just to her, and I think her detailing certainly holds up for a modern fig even today. She's very accessible, and then we move on to a really interesting figure. This is Aayla Secura, the first version of her, and this is an example of Clone Wars printing also working really well. This Twi'lek has some great details, an excellent head mold, and if you remember her from the first time we did this video in 2016, she was nearly $30, but since a new version of Aayla has come out, this older iteration has actually gone down in price. Not every Star Wars figure accumulates exclusively over time. This is a really good example because she is one of the more rare and elusive characters, but when we get to the new version, I'll let you guys decide which one you think actually looks better. Before we jump into 2011, let's take a quick look at Luke Skywalker. From 4 years ago, the last time we did this video, there were 31 Lukes. Now there are 47, and just like how the original Aayla went down in price once a new version of her came out, before there was only 1 version of Cloud City Luke. Last year he was listed at $225 for that single figure. Now that the new Cloud City set has come out recently, his selling prices dropped down to just under $100. It's certainly interesting to see that fluctuation happen because he was one of the single most expensive Star Wars figures before that new set came out. And now let's jump up to 2011 where the expansion of Jedis really starts to take off. There's 8 new figs here. Starting off with Santa Yoda, this is the first Christmas themed Star Wars figure to have been made. He's got an exclusive torso print, the same head mold that we saw before. We're jumping on to Qui-Gon Jinn. This is the first really modern looking version of this character. I would say he's exclusive to just 1 set. The torso is pretty common, and this is an exclusive face print to just this character. Here's another Luminaria Unduli. She's a single set exclusive fig, and every piece of this figure has been made just for this one character that you see here, though her head mold has been reused on different iterations of this character before. Collectability starts to go up, you can see with her price, but then it really jumps up with Shaak Ti, and I think it's all because of the very unique version of this character. She really is a striking looking figure with an amazing mold for the head. She came out in just 1 set, so her special face print and the mold for the head can't be found anywhere else. Her price has over tripled since the last time we talked about her in 2016, which is pretty crazy, but she certainly is a deserving figure to be sought after. It really is kind of a special looking character. From the Republic frigate, we get Quinlan Vos and Eeth Koth. The faces and torsos are exclusive to these characters. Quinlan Vos actually has Hermione Granger's original hair mold, and Eeth Koth's head mold is always a little bit strange because technically he's a Zabrak, but you can't really tell those are sharp, spiky horns on the front of his head, at least not for me. His collectability has really jumped up. Then there's the first version of Saesee Tiin, exclusive face and torso, and of course head mold. It's got a great integration. I really like the way that mold connects in with the minifigure head with the eyebrows. Definitely a fun character to get. And we also have the first version of Ki-Adi-Mundi. He's got one of the more distinct character head molds as well, face and torso exclusive to just this guy. And before we jump to 2012, let's take a quick look at Obi-Wan. 4 years ago there were 24 Obi-Wans, now there are 35 different versions of this minifigure. I believe the most significant price jump for any iteration of this guy over the years has been the light up version of him, and I'll be curious to see what types of detailing this minifigure gets when that new Obi-Wan show eventually gets released. And alright, let's jump on to 2012. Another 8 new figures have been released, most of which are exclusive to just one set, so they're all very collectible. This year and the next one really are some of the best years for collectible Star Wars in general. And let's start off with some of the repeat characters that have been updated. Another Mace Windu is here. He looks infinitely better than the first version of the guy and the Clone Wars one. He's also exclusive to Palpatine's Arrest, which is a very collectible set. Spoiler alert, over $180 worth of collectible figs just from this single set. He's nearly 20 bucks, and now here's an exclusive Kit Fisto, and by exclusive I mean he's got a cape. He's a little over 20 bucks, and now there's an updated Sacy Tin. His details really have changed. The face and torso are exclusive to the set. The mold for the head is the same, nearly $30, but Agent Kolar wins this round in terms of overall collectability. Also, remember, from the same set, he's got a special head mold that only appeared in this set, and I think that's what really sets him apart from the other figures. His price has nearly tripled in the last 4 years, and I also think it's worth mentioning that his face and torso can't be found anywhere else also, except for just this set. An updated version of the Gungan sub came out, so with that there's a Qui-Gon Jinn with a breathing apparatus print. His face is the only exclusive part, but it does make him pretty collectible. And here's another Barriss Offee, also an excellent looking figure. This short cape piece is the first time you see it in dark blue. Face torso exclusive just to this character. Really good looking fig. Very easy to get, I also might add, compared to the rest of these guys from this year. Here's our first and only version of Even Peel as a Jedi. Probably one of the best alien head molds. It has a great way of integrating onto the minifigure face. The print for his face is also really detailed, and I'm glad to see that they gave so much detail to this one character the one time you can get this figure in LEGO minifigure form. Here's a unique figure that you can't get too easily. This is Satel Shan. She came out of the Republic Striker class Starfighter, so she's a figure from the Old Republic, which is interesting in and of itself, and she's also just a very unique looking Jedi figure. Torso and legs are exclusive. Face used to be exclusive to the character until it was reused by Marvel and DC Heroes. Her price has doubled since 2016, and before we jump into the next year, let's take a look at the Anakin figs. Originally 21 figs from 4 years ago, just 4 more new ones added since then, and in general he's a little bit cheaper and easier to get compared to some of the Lukes and Obi-Wans. The Palpatine's Arrest version of the character is still pretty expensive. He's gone up a little bit since then, and the original Mustafar themed Anakin has jumped the most in price, coming out to around 20 bucks when before it was 10. I'm surprised his collectability hasn't actually gone up more over the years, but let's jump on up now to 2013, where there are 13 new figures for the Jedi collection. It's the biggest single release for any year, and let's start once again by showing you guys some of the updated figures. 3 new Yodas made it into the mix. These first 2 guys are updated Clone Wars versions of the character. The torso really is the update that we're looking for compared to the last guy. The only difference between these 2 is the fact that one has white hair and the other one has gray. Then we get our first truly updated version of Yoda. It's odd, he's got this really thick neck bracket piece that was made for a play function in the original set that he came out in, but the real points to actually notice for this fig are the prints for the torso and of course the new head mold, which is a different color. It's got printing that looks better, and it also isn't trying to look like something from Clone Wars. Next up is a new Mace Windu. The face and torso are the same as the last Mace Windu. He does have a new print for the legs. That's because they're actually done in white this time around with some robe detailing. His price has doubled in the last 4 years, but then we got a huge increase in price for this Ahsoka Tano. Part of it, I believe, is her detailing has just improved a lot more, but this is her most common look, I think, from the Clone Wars show, which perhaps brings back a bit of extra nostalgia, I think, for the hardcore fans. All the pieces for her are totally exclusive, great detailing through and through, and she was less than $10 back in 2016, making for one of the most dramatic price increases for any single character. But this year really does have a lot of dramatic price increases for almost every fig we're going to look at. The Jedi Knight here is a Zabrak Jedi. Really unique prints. The only time we get that Zabrak piece in this particular sort of nougaty color. All pieces are exclusive to him. He was $16 back in 2016. Not the case anymore. He is exactly 4 times more expensive than he was 4 years ago. And now we've moved on to another interesting looking Jedi. This is the Consular, the Jedi Consular. All pieces exclusive. The hat mold is the same as Luminaria, though this time done in white. And now we're looking at Jek 14. It's definitely a cool looking character. I like that he's got special printing for his entire body, his face, and he comes with a trans blue arm with almost a full sleeve printing, which is insanely uncommon. He's nearly $30 on the aftermarket, which is pretty crazy. And then we've got a strangely simple character. This is a Padawan, a little girl. She comes with a reused Anakin torso piece, and her face is the only thing that actually makes her exclusive, which is interesting because it's just an old Leia face from a yellow figure printed onto a tan head. He easily hits top 3 in most unique figures for the collection. This is Pong Krell. He's got 4 arms and a very interesting mold for, well, everything on the upper half of his body. All pieces and prints exclusive. He came out in only 1 set. And now we're looking at Stas Ali, who appeared in 1 set as well. Not the greatest head mold transition onto this minifigure head. This is all supposed to be like an alien sort of look to the character. It kind of feels like a hat, but honestly, the makeup for this character in the actual movie wasn't that great either. Still though, you guys are seeing the prices flash by. This is an amazingly rare figure and expensive one to get, but that really is the case for pretty much everything from this year. Here's Coleman Trebor. His torso print is almost identical to some of the other Jedis that we've seen before. He's got that little bit of gray though by the chest, so that's exclusive to him. And of course, the thing that really stands out for this guy is, once again, the mold for his head. I can't believe I'm seeing $35 listed now for this Jedi. That is insane. He was less than $10 in 2016. And now we're jumping over to what is essentially the rarest figure in the collection, though it's very hard to prove his authenticity compared to many other collectible figures from the past. That's because his torso is so easy to reprint onto other figure bodies. This was a special New York release. He came out like in a toy fair in 2013, but also in a promotional set when they built a life-size Lego X-Wing and had it displayed in New York. If you bought an X-Wing set from the Lego store down there at the time, you get this guy along with it. The piece exclusive to him is this I Heart New York, New York I Heart t-shirt, which is of course very appropriate for him. If you were to get this figure without any type of authentication papers, but with official Lego pieces, he's roughly $400, which is crazy. Many people regularly list this figure for $1,000+, and some guy listed this with all the original packaging for like $5,000. That doesn't mean he's actually worth that much, but he is just one of those crazy weird collectible guys that's become very difficult to authenticate over the years. Here are 6 new figs for 2014. Another Qui-Gon Jinn has entered the game. This is the first time we got to see these types of leg prints. They were repeated later down the line in other years. The face is exclusive just to this guy. And then we have a second version of Plo Koon. The torso is updated. That's really the only thing that makes him special. The head is exactly the same as we saw before. And this one's really funny. He's the Ithorian Jedi Master. Up until very recently, this was the only time we could get an Ithorian head mold. This piece recently did come out again though in the Cantina set. So what makes him special are the prints for both the torso and the legs, a very collectible figure still, but not nearly as collectible as this weird one. I still can't get over this one. Kanan Jarrus, specifically Kanan from the Ghost set. The torso and legs are the same as other versions of Kanan that you'll see in 1 second. And what makes him special is the hair and face print. They are done in black. The hair has since been released in other sets, so really the exclusive piece is just the facial print, and really what's exclusive about it is just the fact that his goatee is done in black and not in brown. $83. That's the only exclusive piece really. It's $83, and then when you jump up to Kanan, who's appeared in 3 other sets with brown hair and a brown goatee, his price drops down to less than $7. So if you really want to do the math, that head piece itself, like Kanan's head with the black goatee, is like a $75 head piece. Absolute insanity in the world of Lego collecting, but let's jump over to the first Ezra Bridger. In fact, I like this guy better because he comes with a special helmet mold, which is unique just to him and just this set. And then the version of him that comes without the helmet came out in 2015 in a couple other sets. It's a little less expensive, but all the other pieces, the face and the torso and legs, it's all the same. Here's an updated Qui-Gon Jinn from this year. The pieces that make him special are A, the poncho, didn't appear anywhere else, and B, the face. Qui-Gon Jinn almost always has an exclusive face print, which is really interesting for this character. It's not really the case most of the time. 2015 finishes off with the first version of Rey. This character appeared in a ton of sets, and she only ever gets one facial expression for all the different iterations of this figure that you'll see later in this episode. Super common, very easy to get, and then 2016 surprisingly gave us 8 new figures. Here's Yoda without the neck bracket. Means he's exactly the same as the last one, but technically that's a different release, super common. Luminaria Unduli from the Clone Turbo tank is a very collectible figure. In fact, every figure that came out from this one is. She's got some major good updates for her. Every single piece on her is exclusive, in fact. Quinlan Vos is also completely updated, all pieces exclusive, and coming from the same Clone Turbo tank, he's also a pretty collectible fig. And then finishing off the updated figures for this year, here is Ahsoka from the Rebel Combat Frigate set. This was a really interesting release because she came out with lightsaber blades that were a different color. In fact, these blades are a slightly different blue that haven't been made in any other set. Just comes out with this one fig this one time, and her prints are also exclusive just for her. The mold, the face, everything. $120, $121 really. Average selling price on Bricklink for this figure. Absolute insanity. Just to give you some context about that, the original set she came out in sold for $110 brand new, the entire set, which was almost 1,000 pieces. Anyways, let's check out some new characters from this year. Here's Maz Kanata. She is a Force user of some kind. You guys can argue about this character and some of the other ones I've shown in the comments section below. Pretty unique mold and print, very cheap still. And then contextually, I only decided to include the older Leia's because that's when she really was getting trained as a Jedi behind the scenes. Once again, argue in the comments, don't care. Funny anecdote though, I'm pretty sure Carrie Fisher said that this particular costume she's wearing made her look like a glorified gas station attendant, so you can just think about that for a minute. Now here's Rowan from the Freemaker Adventures. Love this torso print. I also like that this character has the slightly darker flesh tone, very cheap to get. Now here's a really fun guy. I have a feeling he's going to end up going up in collectability in the next few years. This is Chirrut Imwe, if I'm saying it right. The skirt, face, torso are all exclusive to him. He has some cool weapons as well. And then 2017 gives us 5 new figures. Another Qui-Gon Jinn. Guess what's exclusive to him and nothing else? His face. Then there is the blind version of Kanan Jarrus. All pieces exclusive to him. Great looking head mold. I actually really like the way this looks a lot. And then the new Ayla Sakura came out, and this is the figure that dropped the major collectability price of the original version of this fig. Her skin tone is totally changed. The head mold is the same, and she doesn't have the detailing that matches the Clone Wars stuff, so her eyes look a lot more Lego-y. Personally, I don't know what actually looks better. Part of me still kinda likes the older version of Ayla a little bit more, but you guys can let me know what you think is a better version. She's still a pretty collectible figure from the Republic Fighter tank set. And then here's the next version of Rowan. The jacket's still actually a cool print for the torso, not quite as flashy as the original yellow. Very easy to get this fig though. And then lastly, here's another different version of Rey with a totally different set of prints for this character. She appeared in 2 different sets, and let's jump right up to the next version of Rey from 2018, even cheaper and easier to get from the Ahch-To Island training set. Once again, torso and legs exclusive to Rey. I actually like this version of her, maybe the best. I just think these prints work a little bit better for this character here. Then there's a Yoda. His torso has been updated, head is the same as before, and another Mace Windu. All pieces this time around are actually exclusive just to this fig, which is pretty interesting, but not as interesting as this next fig because it kind of made a little bit of minifigure history. This is Barriss Offee, and I believe this is the first time we've actually seen this lower body skirt piece being used in a figure. The face and torso print can only be found on this fig, but it is interesting just because this is the first time we've seen a particular type of mold being used on a fig, and she is like the cheapest and easiest fig to get out of this entire collection. This is the latest appearance of Ki-Adi-Mundi, also appearing in the same battle pack. That's of course why these pretty cheap. Face, torso, legs exclusive to the fig, head mold the same as the one we saw from 2011, and then just 3 new figs for 2019. Here's General Leia, slightly different, slightly more intricate prints for the same glorified gas station attendant version of this Jedi figure. And then the latest and possibly last version of Rey has appeared with her white robes. Of course, the prints for the torso and legs are the reason why she's exclusive. The face has never changed for this character, and the official listing for for this guy here is Master Yoda. Some people are calling him Santa Yoda. Actually, no, I think he's called Santa Yoda, but he's got green legs and they gave him sort of a workshop in this set. None of the pieces are actually exclusive to him, which is why he's not insanely collectible, but he did come out in the Christmas X-Wing set, which is an insanely collectible set to get. All right, the year 2020 only had 2 official new fig prints, which is crazy for Jedi, and that's also, of course, not including the main characters, which are in different videos. Ahsoka Tano from 2020 came out in the Armored Assault Tank set. Detailing looks great. Absolutely no complaints. There's really a lot of nice things to appreciate here. The set is still being sold right now, so it's hard to say what her price is going to settle at in a year from now or 2 years from now. And then, of course, we have the Child. Once again, this little figure can be found in sets that are being sold right now and will be the case for probably the next several years. So it'll be interesting to see how collectability for these characters will change in the next few years. But anyways, with that, let me give you some fun facts about this collection before I go. Out of the 184 figs, there are just 38 different characters, not including Luke, Obi-Wan, and Anakin. Remember, they're 70% of like all of these figs. But just looking at the figs we specifically talked about in this episode, their cumulatively most conservative price estimate is $1,800+. Long-term wish list for me, if I could convince LEGO to add any characters to this list, would be a trans Blue Force Ghost of Obi-Wan. The nostalgia and epicness of this fig could not be understated. Or if LEGO just wanted to add new alien races, random ones, sort of like Jedi Bob or something, but as an alien, that would also be really fun to get. Thank you so much for watching. Remember, if you enjoy our content, you can always like, subscribe, comment, share, visit the web store, do whatever it is that you want to do. Thank you so much for sticking around to the end, and we'll see you next time at BrickVault.